Hey guys! I got a few comments and messages from people asking whether I could do a detailed video on how to French and Dutch braid your own hair. Now this is something that I refer to on my channel all the time. I throw French and Dutch braids into other hairstyles kind of just casually and quickly. And I do think it's a good idea to have a kind of basics video that I can refer to, you know, for beginners or people that are unsure on how to do those braids. So I do have one of these videos on my channel already, but I just checked and it is 9 years old. So I think it's about time I did an updated one, kind of like a newer version. Today I'm going to share with you my tips and tricks on how to French braid and Dutch braid your own hair. So let's get started straight away, I think. The first and biggest tip I want to give you is braid with your hands and not with your eyes. Now I know this may sound strange, but I found that as a hairstyle gets more complicated, the more important for me it is to not look in the mirror while I'm doing it. For some reason, feeling what you're doing just works so much better than trying to see it in the mirror and like holding up a second mirror to look at the back of your head, and then it's all confusing because it's like mirrored, and yeah. Whenever I try to look, that's when it goes wrong. So you have to kind of have a different mindset and try to see what you're doing with your hands, in a sense. So that's kind of my biggest tip, I guess. Try to feel what you're doing instead of looking at it. As I am doing this, try to kind of imagine how this would feel if you were doing it on the back of your own head rather than the way it looks. If that makes any sense. I hope you get what I'm trying to say here. Okay, so let's get started straight away. When I do my French and Dutch braids, I always like to start by taking hair just from kind of here, because that allows me to keep a little bit of a center parting in the front, and it's just a personal preference. I like it better that way than if I were to pull all of my hair back that's on the top of my head. So I usually just take this little section in the center here. And I'm gonna start by making a Dutch braid because I feel like it is easier to feel what you're doing and what the results are when you are making this. So I'm gonna start with a Dutch braid, and then the French braid is pretty much the same, but we'll get to that later. I'm gonna start with a Dutch braid. So I have a starting section of hair here, and I'm going to divide that into 3. And you want to try and make 3 even sections. And again, the easiest thing is to just feel size of the sections to determine whether they are approximately the same size. So mine are. And now what you need to remember when French or Dutch braiding is that you always have 2 outer sections and a middle section. And the most important are the outer sections when it comes to French and Dutch braiding, because those are the ones we're going to keep adding hair to every time. So another thing to keep in mind is the way you hold the strands of hair in your hands. I always like to just hold it in one hand like I'm doing right now, and the way I do that is I use 3 different fingers and I place a finger in between each strand like that, and that way I always know which strand is which. I don't get them mixed up, and I can kind of rest one of my hands or use this hand to add more hair or separate other strands, and it's just really simple, so you can do that both ways. Just I usually take my ring finger and then my middle finger and my index finger and hold it like that. Okay, so we have our 3 sections here, and since it is a Dutch braid, I'm going to start by taking one of the outer sections and I'm going to go underneath the middle section. So the part that was the middle section is now the outer section, and the outer section is now the middle section. So then I'm going to take the other outer section. I'm going to alternate sides every time. That's kind of the basics of braiding. So this outer section, I'm going to take under the middle section, and it has now become the new middle section. So now I have one completed kind of round of braiding, and I have again an outer section, a center section, and another outer section. So I'm gonna go back to the other side again. I'm gonna hold my braid here, and I'm gonna take a little bit of extra hair from the side. I'm just gonna separate that out. Make sure it's nice and smooth here. And as you can see, I'm using another finger, my thumb here, to hold that while I go, never letting go of these sections here. Alright, so now I'm gonna take this section in my other hand, take the outer section, which I was holding with my index finger here, and I'm going to take this underneath the middle section. Like that. So I'm gonna readjust my hands, take my braid with my other hand, And then with my free hand, I'm gonna separate out a section of hair from the other side. I'm going to add it to my outer section and take that underneath the middle section. And I'm gonna readjust my hands and do the same thing on this side again. So I'm gonna just take a little bit of hair from here, smooth it out, add it to the outer section, and take it underneath the middle section. And then on the other side, take a little bit of hair, add it to the outer section, and take it underneath the middle section. Okay, so now this is pretty much the basics, and now I'm going to show you a different way to use your hands when you're adding the sections. So this is what I personally do. This is kind of easier to see the way that I just did it, but what I personally do when I'm doing my braids, just because it's a little bit quicker, is I will hold the section, the outer section that I'm going to add hair to, in the hand that is on the side of that section, and then I use my thumb to take more hair, like that, and that way I can add it straight away. And I don't need to use a second hand, as it were. So then I will just take that underneath the middle section. Same thing on the other side, I just keep holding this, add hair with my thumb, and take it back. It's just a little bit of a faster way to do things. So you could try both and see what works best for you. Again, I'm pretty sure this is kind of hard to see, but when you feel it, this makes a lot of sense. So I suggest just try, go along with this video and just try it on your own hair and kind of experience how this feels. Alright, so once you come to the end and you have added all of the hair, your Dutch braid is done, and you can see that the braid is kind of laying on top of my hair. So you can actually feel what you've done here and that the braid is present, and that is pretty much it. That is how you Dutch braid your own hair. Now you should pretty much have the technique down completely, and a French braid is honestly exactly the same thing, only instead of taking the outer strands under the center strand, we're going to take the outer strands over the center strand. So that way, instead of a braid that's laying on top of the head, you're going to get a braid that is kind of woven into the hair, as it were. A French braid. So I'm gonna do the exact same thing, starting the same way. I'm gonna take a little section of hair on top of my head here, separate that into 3. And I'm going to take the outer section over the middle section, and the outer section on the other side over that new middle section again. There we are. And now it's time to start adding hair. So it's the same procedure. I'm going to take a little bit of extra hair from this side, add it to my outer strand, and take the outer strand over the middle strand. Now same thing on this side. Let me readjust my hands. Take a little bit of extra hair, add it to the outer strand, and take it over the middle strand. Like that. Same thing here. Add a little bit of hair to the outer strand, over the middle strand. Readjust my hands, take a new strand, add it over the center strand, and there we are. So with my different kind of technique, I'm gonna just scoop up a bit of hair, add it, take it over the center, and then again scoop up some extra hair with my thumb, take it over the center. Now, you can maybe notice that what I actually do is, instead of taking the outer strand over the center strand, I tend to kind of push the center strand underneath the outer strand. Again, it just feels good to me that way, but it is a little bit more complicated when you try to explain it. So it's pretty much the same thing, actually, whether you place the outer strand over the center strand or the center strand under the outer strand. I don't want to complicate things unnecessarily, but if that feels easier to you, as it does to me, then that is definitely something you can do. Okay, so my last section here, taking it over, and there we are. There is our French braid done as well. So as you can see, this is a different style of braid. This one seems kind of woven into the hair, and there is your French braid all done. So those are the basics of Dutch and French braiding, and you can use these techniques in so many different ways. You can make many little braids or like big ones. You can make it into buns, or just possibilities are endless. If you want to see more kind of variations, then do check out the hairstyles or hair tutorials playlist on my channel. I have loads and loads and loads of hair tutorials that use these braids as well. So I really hope you found this video helpful, and keep practicing, guys. That is the most important thing. Keep practicing. I've been doing this for years, and I promise you will get better. So if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for loads more beauty and lifestyle content. If you'd like to support me on Patreon, there's a link in the description box below. Thank you so much for your support. There is another video here that you may also enjoy. You can go watch next. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you very soon in my next video. Bye!